On every project I do, wireless video is almost mandatory. And lately I've been using the Hollyland Pyro 7-inch monitors, or the transceivers. And I'm surprised to say that I'm really starting to love these. So I film on the FX9, and for me, a 7-inch monitor on top of the camera, some people prefer it. I prefer a 5-inch. Having a 7-inch monitor can be a little bulky for me. This is what I have on top of my camera, and it's really easy to use. They have all the connections in the back that I need. I have SDI in, SDI out. I get power from 2 different options, but I use a barrel to power the transceiver. I have HDMI in and out, headset, and USB. And then if you look on top of the transceiver, I'm gonna have a hard time saying that each time. We have the on-off switch, which I really like. And then I have my function buttons. And what I like about the function buttons is each one has a different feel. So I can quickly set these up to something, and one is kind of indented and one is kind of embossed. And so I quickly know which one that I'm pressing. The thing that I don't like about this setup right here is these antennas are much larger than I want them to be. I wish they were more like this on the Mars, where it's tight and small, and I'm sure that has to do with how far that they can go, or for whatever reason. I don't know if there's a mod where I can purchase these and they'll be the mushroom or something that's smaller, but these, I just feel like over time they're going to get bent. On the back of the monitor, I've left it stock, and so you have the NPF batteries, the Sony batteries that can go on there. I'm usually running 2 cables. I have the SDI out that goes to my camera, then I have the power that's going to my V mount on the back of the camera. The image on here is pretty decent. It has a lot of options that I'll go through shortly, and the setup is very intuitive. Like, they made this really easy to use, so I appreciate that. On the other side, I actually bought 2 monitors. I purposely bought 2 different type of handles because I didn't know which one I wanted to use. And so now that I'm in the field, I think this one is more comfortable, and I think it's better for directors to be able to hold it. But I like that this has a smaller profile. And one of the reasons that I decided to go with 2 is because a lot of productions will have more than one person that want to have the main feed. And because of how Hollyland is set up, it's really easy to have multiple feeds, and I'll show you how I have additional feeds as well. I had another monitor in the past that I used, a wooden director's monitor kit that you can make anything a director's monitor, but it was it worked well, but it was just heavy and a little clunky. So one of the things that I like about Hollyland when they made this transceiver is there are mounting points on the bottom and on the side. And so there's a lot of things you can do with that, which is very important. The other thing that I like that they did is they made it really easy for people who want to put gold mount or V mount on the back instead of using the NPF batteries. It makes it really nice and actually easier to hold. I'll give this to, a client just like this. One of the features that you have with the function buttons is you can lock it so that they're not pressing a whole bunch of buttons. But for the directors and producers who do know, they can use their own features and exposure and all the different things that we have on the camera for themselves. So I feel like this is a really nice way to hand something off to a client. There's also, some mounting points up here if they want to put something additional. I'm doing mostly documentary work. It's rare that I have someone pulling focus for me. The latency on these, I wouldn't say that they're bad, but they're definitely, in my opinion, not meant for pulling focus. Most of the time, I'm using this to showcase to the client what we're filming so that they can get eyes on the project as well. And if there's a little latency for the director, that's totally okay. But I think having a 7-inch monitor that's light, I can't tell you how many times I've handed my old wooden camera one that's rigged out to a client and like, this is too heavy, I can't hold this. And so I needed a light option. And surprisingly enough, having one of these V-mounts on the back with the built-in V-mount plate and the handles, this is a very nice rig. The true way to know if a piece of gear is gonna work well as you bring it in the field, and it will quickly show you what flaws it has. These have been a great purchase, and the price point for these are not very expensive in comparison to some other transceivers. Actually, there's not as many transceivers out there, but the fact that each one of these can be either a monitor, a transmitter, or a receiver, it gives it a lot of flexibility. So I've been a big fan of how I've been able to use these. Right now my camera is already connected, but the menu system is very intuitive. If you select over here, you have all these different options. So you have the mode if it's a receiver or a transmitter. You have the different channels that it's on. You can have it scanned if it needs to, and the different group pairings if you need to do that with multiple receivers in the same location. The display, obviously your display settings. The system, I don't change too many settings in here. The fan on these can get pretty loud, but I usually leave it on low. The volume meter, I have it turned off. And then these are the different shortcuts that you can set up right here. So right now I have it to lock and unlock and then focus assist. And those are these buttons up here, F1, F2. And then the device information. The only time you need to go here really is if you're going to format the card. These also allow you to record because there's a card slot, the SD card slot in there, so you can record right to the monitor, which is nice to have. But also you'll need this information when you connect the Wi-Fi. But outside of that, you have your settings down here, but you got your waveform, vector scope, histogram, then you got peaking, your zebras, if you want to put false color, if you want to throw on different LUTs, they're right there. And then if you need to zoom in, you can do that right there. And then you have different settings that you can adjust within the system as well. So one of the other things that I really love about the setup is that you can send the signal very easily to an iPad or a phone using a Wi-Fi signal. So the transmitter in this whole setup will emit a Wi-Fi signal that the other receivers will receive, but you can also connect another device to that. These two monitors are my main things that I hand out to directors or producers when we're on set. And if there's only one director or the producer director, they only need one, then I'll reserve this and leave it in a case, or I'll give it to someone else on the team who might need it. The other thing that I like to do is to send the signal to a phone. And so what I decided to do was I went to Best Buy and I bought these prepaid phones. For this to work and get the signal, you just need to be able to accept Wi-Fi. Both of these phones are $30 a piece. And I just didn't get the prepayment plan. And now I can give these to additional people on set. So sometimes I'll hand it to the production assistant, sometimes I'll hand it to the associate producer, the production coordinator, or what I really like to do is hand this to the audio person, and they can put this right on top of their bag, and then they can see exactly what I'm filming the entire time. Now, one of the drawbacks is the signal that goes to these phones aren't nearly as good as what goes to these monitors, but sometimes someone just needs to be able to see the framing or the image or what's going on. So for instance, I've handed this to my AC while they're working in the car dumping footage or waiting for the next scene to go. They got this propped up and they can see that we're still filming. I always have these on standby, and these are my new favorite things. I've had all four of these go at the same time before. The fact that I can hand somebody a phone, I'm not worried about losing it. It cost me $30, and it can receive the signal of what I'm doing on set has been a lifesaver in so many situations. Now, if you decide to buy one of these phones, it is not as fast as whatever phone you use as your daily driver, but you get used to it. So you'll come to the app and it'll ask you to connect to the Wi-Fi. That's why you need that Wi-Fi information. And then you find the Wi-Fi signal that's coming from the device that you want to connect to. It's gonna check for internet access, and then it's gonna say there is no internet access, which is totally fine. And so now if I go to my Hollyland app, it'll say you can go ahead and connect. And then just like that, I have a signal on my phone that I can give to anybody. And there's the same features on the bottom for them to be able to control. They can do screen captures. They can turn the brightness up and down. They can turn the volume up and down. If they plug in their headphones, the other reasons why I like this, and it being an older one that has a headphone jack. And so it just gives another opportunity for someone to see the signal. So these are my latest wireless video signal system that I use in the field. I think they've been fantastic. I think anybody who's looking to have a new option as far as wireless video, these are great things to consider. They're not very expensive. I think they do a very good job. I think they're professional. And I'll be using them on many more productions in the future. So I hope you learned something from this. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.
Hi, I'm Eric Seals. I'm the tape man, cameraman.